We're here to tackle the major question in the healthcare field. LPN versus RN. Which is better? Why is it better? What should I choose? What should I start off with? And why? What's up, munchkins? It's your girl O Donuts, but in today's video you can call me Osa because once again it's the professional side of the channel. Now if you're a new viewer and you enjoy this video, make sure you tune into my nurse related content under my playlist Nurse O. However, if you're a current subscriber or returning viewer, thank you for following my nursing journey. I know you guys really enjoy my nursing videos on this channel. You guys like blow up my nursing videos compared to my other videos, but no matter who you are, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and just commenting and interacting with the videos. LPN versus RN. Let's tackle the major differences at hand, the pros of being an RN, the cons of being an RN, and the pros and cons of being a licensed practical nurse. And what better way to gain insight from someone who works as a current licensed practical nurse but is also in school going for her RN BSN. Voila, let's get the fresh, uncut opinion from me. You guys, I just want to make a key point and say a licensed practical nurse is also referred to as a licensed vocational nurse. So if in your state you call it being an LVN, this video still applies to you because a licensed vocational nurse is also a licensed practical nurse. The words can be interchanged. And let's get straight into the video, you guys. The first difference I want to address is the job setting. Many of you guys know that registered nurses primarily work in the hospital setting, and a lot of licensed practical nurses don't work in the hospital setting. However, in certain states they do. Also, I know you guys have heard the myth, LPNs are going to be gone in the next 5 years. LPNs aren't needed anymore. There's not a high demand for LPNs anymore. I just want to say that myth is completely cap, you guys. It's completely false. LPNs aren't going anywhere anytime soon. The world of nursing is huge and just limitless. So there's a job for every nurse. So the first difference is job setting. Like I said before, LPNs are predominantly in the nursing home, assisted livings, and they do a lot of home care cases. Most registered nurses are placed in the hospital setting. However, I just want to make it noted that LPNs are still hired within the hospital setting. They're usually just not labeled as a licensed practical nurse. Sometimes they're giving the position as a technician within the hospital. Two, another difference between LPNs and RNs is the length of schooling and the requirements before starting that program. LPN schooling usually lasts from 12 to 18 months, so it can take anywhere from 1 year to a year and a half to obtain your licensure. And the requirements for an LPN program is pretty simple. You either have to have your GED, a high school diploma, or at least be a senior while attending high school. Personally, in my case, I did an 18-month LPN program where I was a senior taking full-time classes at my high school and part-time classes with my LPN program, so I did 18 months. Whereas schooling for a registered nurse can last anywhere from 2 to 4 years depending on if you're going for your ADN, which is your associate's degree of nursing, versus your BSN. Now for your associate's degree, you can obtain that in 18 months to 2 years. And for your BSN, if you're not doing like a bridge program or an accelerated program, you can obtain your BSN in 4 years. I believe all registered nursing programs require you to have your high school diploma or GED once again, and you also have to take gen ed classes. So now as a registered nurse, your schooling has increased because prior to obtaining that RN license, you have to take all of these gen ed courses such as A&P, microbiology, chemistry, and the list goes on. Whereas licensed practical nurses, it's easier for you to obtain your license because you don't have to take all of those extra fluff courses. Instead, you jump right into your nursing classes. So this is a major difference. When going for your RN, it's going to take you longer to obtain your licensure because you have to take all these fluff classes before you get to your nursing classes. However, as a licensed practical nurse, you jump straight into your nursing courses, and so it's easier for you to obtain your licensure. One requirement that's needed for both your LPN and RN program is your TEAS exam. So TEAS exam is an entrance level exam for nursing programs. It's just to determine the student's preparedness for nursing school. So if you fail your TEAS exam, you're more than likely not going to get into the nursing program. However, some nursing programs don't require the TEAS exam at all. So it's a hit or miss with that one. 3, another major difference between RN and LPN programs is the cost of the programs. Now, schooling for registered nurses is way more expensive, and the cost can range anywhere from 15 to 40K depending on the institution. And I'm saying 15 to 40K a year. I'm not saying a one-time, one and done $40,000. No, I mean $40,000 a year. This also depends on the institution. Is this a private university versus a community college? So prices are going to depend on the institution that you're attending. LPN programs are a lot cheaper and can cost anywhere from $12,000 to $20K. Keep in mind, usually the faster the program, the more expensive the program is. And once again, the cost of the institution depends on whether you're going to a private institution or a community vocational school. Okay, we stated the three major differences between LPNs and RNs. However, let's get into the pros and cons of both positions. And at the end of this, I will state which one I think is better and, in my opinion, why I believe it's better. Registered nursing pros. For starters, you're above LPNs in the chain of command. So if you like being in that management position and you like running the floor and being in charge, you're more than likely going to have to be a registered nurse, and you get to oversee all of the LPNs, CNAs, and everybody else who is on the floor. Another pro about being a registered nurse first, you're technically allowed to do more advanced treatments than the LPNs. Now I say technically with quotation marks because if you know, you know. Licensed practical nurses are doing the same job as the registered nurse, even if they're not allowed to, but you know, I didn't say it. However, this depends on your state. In my state, licensed practical nurses are allowed to do pretty much the same treatments as a registered nurse. The treatments that are only supposed to be performed by a registered nurse include working with IVs, blood transfusion, the first clinical assessment of new patients, and providing discharge education and initial client education. Whereas LPNs are to monitor registered nurses' findings, and we're not allowed to provide initial education. We are only to reinforce education that was already provided. And once again, it depends on your facility because you can work with IVs and blood as a licensed practical nurse. However, you just need to become IV certified by your facility. In my case, my facility offered an IV certification class for LPNs. Now let's get into the pros of becoming a licensed practical nurse. The first pro, which is a major deal breaker for a lot of parents and just people who overall have like hectic schedules and can't afford to spend 4 years in school, is that LPN programs require less schooling. If you don't have 4 years that you can dedicate to become a registered nurse, you can look into LPN programs where you can become a nurse in literally a year to 18 months. Another major pro is that LPN programs are way more affordable than registered nursing programs. If you're doing a 4-year program, you could be paying anywhere from 20 to 40K a year. In 4 years, you're paying 20K, so 20, 40, 60, 80. That's 80K to become a registered nurse. And not to mention, as a licensed practical nurse, you're either making double or triple that one-time payment. For you not to have a master's or a bachelor's degree in any subject, but you're already making double the amount that you pay to your college is crazy. What I'm trying to point out is that licensed practical nurses make bank for just a short amount of schooling. A lot of people will do 4 years at a major that will only make them 30 to 50K after graduating. But a licensed practical nurse is already looking at 40 to 80K for just 1 year of schooling. That has to be crazy to you guys. If that's not crazy to you guys, I just don't know what is, because 1 year of schooling and I'm making 80K, yeah, like, sign me up. Another pro for licensed practical nurses is that you gain experience, and not only that, you gain confidence and competency in the medical field. So for my future nurses who don't know if they want to become an LPN or RN first, I just want to point out, when you become an LPN first, the patient to nurse interaction is a lot smoother for you and rolls off the tip of your tongue. And yes, you're going to be new at one point as a licensed practical nurse, but when you're a registered nurse, you're required to know a lot more information. I can tell you guys from my own personal experience, being in nursing school right now as a licensed practical nurse, I'm literally answering questions like this. Patient interactions are nothing to me, and I'm not shy and I'm not stumbling on any words. It's just secondhand nature to me. Whereas my peers with no medical background are not as confident within the clinical field because this is a whole new ball game for them. So they're obtaining their nursing skills, whereas an LPN is just further enhancing his or her nursing skills. Another major pro with becoming a licensed practical nurse first is that it gives you the opportunity to know if nursing is for you or not before you waste 4 years of your life on schooling. And the best part is, if you figure nursing is for you, as a licensed practical nurse, you're given the option to do a bridge program, which is basically a nursing program that transitions you from LPN to RN. And while you're in that bridge program, or say you stopped nursing completely and you're working as an LPN but you're in school obtaining a different degree, you're not going to be the broke college student. You're making bank as a licensed practical nurse while still in school for your BSN or whatever degree you want to get. If you're like me who needed a good paying job while still attending a university, becoming an LPN is a great stepping stone because you can afford to pay your bills while in school. Okay, you guys, we discussed the pros of both positions. However, let's get into the cons of RNs and LPNs. First up, registered nursing cons. It's an entire fresh start and new environment, and you're on the unit and you're expected to know how to critically think without having any clinical experience. Another con of becoming an RN is that if you don't like nursing, you're already so far in the game. You just wasted 3 or 4 years of your life attending school, and now you're on the unit, but you just realized that nursing's not for you. Of course, it's never too late to change your profession. However, you just wasted a lot of time in school to find out that you don't even want this job. Oftentimes, people will stay with the profession even though they're miserable in the job, but they'll stay in the profession because they just dedicated so much of their life to obtaining this nursing degree. Okay, let's get into the cons of becoming an LPN. The first con is that you can't do first-time assessments and you're under the supervision of a registered nurse. So if you like that leadership role and you want to become nurse manager or a supervisor, that position will oftentimes be given to the registered nurses before the licensed practical nurses. Another con, which is my own opinion, I believe LPN schooling is way harder than RN schooling. Most LPN programs are extremely fast-paced and you have to keep up. Another con for LPNs, which I left out as a pro for RNs, is that RNs are offered more pay and they are offered more job opportunities. Another con with becoming an LPN is that LPN programs aren't as flexible. I've never heard of an entire online course for LPNs, or LPNs get to create their own schedule and they get to pick what days they want to go to school. No. Most LPN programs are a straight 9 to 5 or 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, every day of the week, and then you have clinical days. However, if you become an LPN and you want to advance to your RN, bridge programs offer a lot of flexibility, and they offer online courses, and this is mainly for those of you with kids or financial responsibilities that affect how much time you can dedicate to school. Besides the TEAS exam, in both positions you can administer medications, perform treatments, handle wound care, can receive orders from the MD, and the list goes on and on, because as an LPN you are still a nurse. Okay, you guys, and here are my final thoughts on whether or not it's worth it to become an LPN before becoming an RN, or going with LPN versus going with your RN. If you haven't noticed, I'm sort of biased to this question because I'm already a licensed practical nurse. The answer is yes, it's completely worth it to become a licensed practical nurse. LPNs aren't going nowhere anytime soon or anytime at all. Becoming an LPN is a great stepping stone for your nursing career. Not only do you become more confident as a nurse, but you also become competent in the information. Shorter schooling, cheaper programs, great money while still in school, great money in general, and less time wasted if you figure that nursing is not for you. Okay, you guys, thank you for watching this video. I hope that it was really informative. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. I hope this video was super helpful for someone who didn't know if they wanted to become an LPN versus becoming an RN. With whatever nursing profession you choose, I just wish you guys the best of luck. Love you guys. Bye. You guys, do me a favor and turn on your post notifications so you can get notified of when next I post.